Activity time.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Excited.
All right, so just for context, you have the dopest hazy IPA.
And it's the dopest.
It's the dopest?
It's the dopest.
Yes.
I haven't tried this one yet, and I'm like, I have 4 of these at home. There's probably, actually I have 4 in there too.
Word.
So, I have kids though. I have things I gotta do.
Hey, we got kids, that's why I make beer.
Clearly. Well.
Activity time.
And then you have the Pilsner.
Yes, I have Atro Pills. These are our flagship beers. These beers are found throughout the state, the entire state of California.
And at Bonds.
Bonds, Albertsons, Pavilions, and at Disneyland, which is crazy.
So exciting.
It's crazy. Like we're one of the first brands to be offered at the Disneyland park side, which I didn't even realize this. Alcohol was not even allowed to be served at Disneyland up until like last year.
I love that.
Which is, how did parents make it? It's just like, they just like...
I have videos of me breaking it down at the park. And there was like, I went with my kids and there was like this like trendy, like, this is what a Disneyland mom looks like. And I was like, literally, my kids are like screaming in the background fighting. And I'm like, but it's supposed to be like good moments. But I'm like, it definitely isn't. It's a lot of breaking down. But I also saw that they have nannies now. You can have a nanny at Disneyland who takes care of your kids. Like I saw this yesterday.
You can
on, like,
hire
TikTok.
a nanny?
Yes, they're called like Dreamland nannies or something. And I was like, I don't know who started this, but girl,
that's crazy.
You got it, and it's the greatest thing ever.
And you can now go to the Blue Bayou and get a Crown and Hop
exactly.
hazy IPA.
If you can't afford the Dreamland nannies, which are really expensive, you could most likely afford this beer.
Load up on Crowns and Hop Brewing Company beer. Fair enough. Confidence and courage, Kay.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously we're both courageous. Starting our own businesses is like the most courageous thing possible. Actually, I don't know about starting it being courageous, but staying with it is courageous. Because I feel like there's so many moments when all I want to do is literally scream.
You know what though? That there's the moment of the alternative that keeps me in this. Like I you know, there's, and not to dismiss the 9 to 5, not to dismiss those that choose that versus entrepreneurship. There's this thing that I realized that I continue to do and I have not changed. Before I became an entrepreneur, I was in sales. I was in sales for like 15, 20 years almost. So in sales, I used to have to be mindful of all the birthdays of my clients. And I used to have to bring gifts. I used to have to bring an offering and bring all these things just with the hopes that I can stay on their good list. And it was exhausting, you know, to literally create an entire budget just to accommodate birthdays. And I realized that I still have their birthdays on my calendar. And it reminds me of like this thing that I used to have to do, you know, as a part of my life, just to like keep, you know, not that remembering people's birthdays is bad, but to remember it just to like take care of yourself, like to, you know, bring offerings, you know, is a pretty like, I don't know, I don't want to overuse the word toxic or anything, but it reminds me of a life that I don't want for myself anymore, you know, as it relates to how I take care of myself and my family, you know.
No, I don't even remember my own birthday half the time. So having the thought of having to remember other people's birthdays, but I was in sales before I got into entrepreneurship too. So it's like, I totally understand and I worked in wine sales, right? So in large box stores, which you're probably familiar with. So like merchandising, all of that stuff. And there's a lot of like rules and logistics around it that you're not allowed to do. But if I didn't do that, I wasn't getting my stuff on the shelf. And those are like, and that meant that I was waking up. I had a newborn at the time. So Mikhail was like a baby. So this is like 10 years ago, right? And the reason that I worked sales was because I would start at 2 a.m. going to all of these stores because that's when most of their buyers were in. And I would throw loads, which you're not supposed to do. And not only was I putting my stuff on the shelf, I was putting other people's stuff on the shelf. And that's where the issue comes. You're allowed to put your stuff on, but not other people's stuff. But I don't think I was like, there was like that was like the beginning of me not really taking care of myself because I was working all day. Then I would come home, I would get off around like 1 o'clock. And then I was mommy until like Mikhail like went to bed. And he was my first. So like very different momming versus like having more later on. But it's just, then I got a little bit of sleep. But then in between him and like my work, I was starting to work on my business.
Yep. And
so it's like that constant doing it, but there's a very different feeling inside when I'm doing it for myself versus waking up. Like if I wake up at 2 a.m. for my own business, which I do, unfortunately, it's a different feeling than what I felt there, like less resentment.
Right. Well, you know, you bring up a really interesting thing that I don't think I realized until this moment, and it's probably similar for a lot of people. We were both in sales. There is a lack of fear that you have to have in sales. You know, there's a eat what you kill mentality that, you know, which sounds a little, you know, harsh, but you have to have a fearlessness when you are in sales. One of the first books that I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And like, I think the initial portion of that book was really about selling. You know, he talks about this analogy of it's called the best-selling author, not the best marketing author or the best writing author. It's the best-selling author. So there's this muscle that is created that ultimately that stays with us even in our entrepreneurial journey. So I think that contributes to our, I guess if you want to call it courage, you know, that we continue to have, because, you know, you have to learn that there's things that you just have to get done no matter what, because if you don't do it, you're not gonna eat, you know, and that muscle stays with you. I would have to imagine that probably the majority of entrepreneurs have a background in sales.
I would think you would have to, even though, you know, it's funny. I think even when I did sales, I was like, oh, I'm not a salesman. Like, that's not what I'm not good at sales. Like, that was something that I tell myself,
I'm like, I'm not doing sales anymore.
Literally, that's what you're doing. But I like remember telling myself, like, I am not good at sales, but I was the #1 salesperson all of Southern California for my company. I have a little plaque still.
That's because you're a dope human being. I think, so here's another thing. Being good at sales also is the majority of being good at sales is just being yourself and being just a natural person. The people that are terrible at sales are the people that force it, the people that are not natural, the people that can't be connected with. I think that's one of the, I don't know if it was something that I read. I don't know if it's something that, you know, that I got coached on or that I heard in coaching, but it was like people buy from their friends and their neighbors. See what I did there? But people want to buy from a friend. People want to buy, you know, people want to be educated, make educated decisions, not be sold, you know, and, you know, that's the energy I get from you. I get that, you know, I want to sit down and have a conversation with you versus, you know, I want to, you know, get pitched, you know, and that's what makes us successful, you know, in that sales, you know, hemisphere.
Yeah. I think like, even now that you're saying that, I'm like, it wasn't the fact that I was up at 2 a.m., like putting wine merchandise on the shelves. It was that at 2 a.m., I was creating relationships with these people that nobody else was doing because they weren't willing to get up at 2 a.m. and go. And a lot of my buyers, I actually still have relationships with.
Yeah. Probably brought them a coffee or two.
Definitely.
Some donuts.
Cookies. Cookies were one. And I actually have one person in particular. His name was Jason, and he was a BevMo like manager. And he was Black, obsessed with craft beer. And so even with like this project, when we're talking, like he's somebody that constantly comes up like in my mind, surrounding that, because there's not a lot of people that, you know, look like us that are like outwardly so enthusiastic about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think there's like, I know a lot of people who drink beer, and I have a lot of like friends who are like, they love craft beer and they like geek out about it. But a lot of them are white.
Yeah.
So when you see somebody that naturally like is like so geeked out and like ready to tell you all of the things, and they look like you, especially like in our arenas, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And he was like one of the first people who kind of got me into like sour beer, because I wasn't really into beer at the time, and I was throwing like wine on shelves, right? And so I told him I like sour beer, and he would always be like, "Oh, you got to try this instead, like, or try this." And so he kind of got me into liking like beers and looking for like different things. But I think more importantly, he was so good about understanding the brands that he was working with and their ethos behind their businesses.
That's cool.
And so the stories that it was like, let me tell you a little bit more about this brand and why it's great. The beer is great, but the people are better.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, today we are going to make a cheese and charcuterie board, but we're going to go heavy on the meats and cheeses.
Let's go.
But before we get into that, I am going to make it look a little bit prettier.
Word.
I want, you know, your partner to look at this and be like, oh, okay.
You ready, Lynette? It's about to go down.
Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our kiwi.
Yep.
We're going to hold it like this. And what we're going to do is we're making stars.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go a little more than halfway through.
I feel like this is on some like Halloween pumpkin carving.
It is.
Do I go all the way in?
You can go a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And you're going to move over about a centimeter and you're going to do the same thing.
Yep.
And we're going to go all the way around and see how we're just kind of creating like...
Kind of like the pumpkin mouth.
Yeah. But only one direction.
Okay.
You don't connect them yet. Just one direction.
Oh, okay.
This is to make sure that it's straight. And then once you've gone all the way around in one direction,
yep,
then that's when you're gonna go back and you're gonna connect them like a pumpkin mouth.
Got it.
I don't think I've ever used that like a pumpkin mouth.
You're welcome. Okay.
Okay, so now you're gonna go back and you're gonna connect to the two.
I think I already messed up.
Did you? We'll see. I feel like people think that they've messed up and then they open it and they're like, oh my God, I did it. So.
Okay.
Then when you open it, it should look like that.
Ha!
You did it. Look at that.
Look at that.
Perfect.
Boy.
We're not doing a lot of cutting in here.
We work in a very interesting intersection of a specialty industry, craft beer and charcuterie, and culture. I've been doing this exploration of craft beer and Black culture for going on a decade now. It didn't start with just a craft beer brand. It didn't start with Crowns and Hops. It started with a conversation between myself, my business partner, Benny Ashburn, and my community, while at the same time having this conversation with the existing craft beer community about the lack of Black people and people of color in general in the craft beer space. And it was pretty daunting because one, you had Black people specifically being like, I don't even know what craft beer is. Like, what is this? Like, give me my OE, give me my, give me a Heineken, give me a Stella. Like, I don't even know what this is. And then on the flip side, you had craft brewers talking about, well, Black people don't drink craft beer. And it took a while to understand why that dynamic existed. And one, it took understanding that there was a reason for it outside of it. People just don't drink it, you know, and that there was a intention behind that. I was reading this book, Quench Your Thirst, that was written by Greg Cook, the owner of Boston Beer Company. And he references in his book about the fact that when their beer sales or the salespeople in their distributorship couldn't sell the dead beer or their out of code beer into the markets where they needed to before the beer went bad, they would sell it at discount to like liquor stores in the hood. So essentially, they were selling the worst of their products in our neighborhoods. You know, never even giving people of color an opportunity to taste the product at its peak. And that was just some of the product. So if you think about just the fact that Black and brown people weren't even being given an opportunity to consider what it was like to taste a premium craft beverage at its height, at its most premium, at its most premium position, then why would they even seek it out? Why would they even engage with it? Why would they even want to understand the story? And, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So, for the first couple of years, it was really about understanding why there was no craft beer in the community, distribution, but then also who was going to be the steward, who was going to be the messenger with regards to introducing these palates to this thing that I fell in love with, which was craft beer. So it was just an ongoing conversation that had to happen before it could just exist and for it to flourish,
Then the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut this in half.
I can handle that.
Nothing hard. Just like that. You got kids, you know how to cut.
There it is.
Then the very next thing we're gonna do is we're basically prepping everything right now.
You're gonna make me cut the cheese?
No, well, we're gonna break it.
Dad joke. I'm a dad.
Dad joke for sure.
Yeah, word.
I'm pretty sure my dad's had similar corny jokes. So. Then you're going to cut this. And then he would stop and wait for me to laugh.
Yeah.
He'd be like, you're gonna get me to cut the cheese? So you're just breaking it into.
So you're breaking it to probably the more rustic and blocky and natural looking, the better.
Yeah, and this actually, it makes it look fancier for some reason. Yeah. Rustic is in
100%, especially with cheese. So. I'm like loading up the board already.
Well, we're gonna do it on this.
Okay, yep.
So then the next thing we're gonna do is Gouda. Gouda, we're gonna do the same thing.
Okay, I don't have my gloves on. I'm sorry.
Well, this is going home with you. That's why I put gloves on.
Word.
I think you're.
Hey.
You'll be okay at your house.
Same thing?
Yep. You're gonna go home and she's gonna be like, what did you do today at work? You're gonna be like, made you cheese board.
Right.
Also, Gouda is like incredible with beer.
It's so Gouda.
We use it in our mac and cheese, and we actually use the Pilsner in our mac and cheese too.
Hey.
So now we have that. Now we're gonna start building the board.
Okay, let's do it.
So we decided to.
Okay, wait, real quick. How do you determine? Is there a method to the madness when you organize the cheese with the meat on the board? Like, is there like a science on why you will put a meat by a cheese?
You could do that, but it's not that complicated. We don't do that.
Word.
So the goal is to make it look pretty, because even if there was a science, it wouldn't make a difference for most people.
Okay.
So the first thing we're gonna do is we have a Chevo, which is actually one of my favorite cheeses. It was started in California and now no longer has a home in California, but it's still one of our favorite cheeses that we use. And this is an Italian black truffle. The great thing about this is it's marinated goat cheese.
All right, so question for you. It was made in California. It's an Italian goat cheese.
It's Italian black truffle.
What about it is Italian?
The truffle, black truffle is Italian.
Does it have to be from Italy in order to call it Italian?
No.
So the reason I asked that is actually a thing about beer. So in beer, we cannot call a beer an Italian style Pilsner. Even if it's the style, it has to be called an Italian style Pilsner. Like by law, we can't even get it to be approved by TTB or by the governing bodies in California if we want to get it approved. So I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, they do have certain laws and rules on certain cheeses, so you will run into that. But for this goat cheese, you're not gonna have that issue. They just use Italian black truffles. If they really even use Italian black truffles, I want to say yes, they do. But
if not, we coming for you. No, go for it.
But we're using that as basically our main cheese. So that's gonna take the main area.
Got it.
So working in wine, I think one of the number one things that I like before I moved into charcuterie was the creation of like community. And so a lot of times I worked in sales where my team was mostly Black women. And it was something that I was told early on that like Black people only like sweet wine, right? And I hear it so often that it's like the only reason they like sweet wine is because that's what they've had access to.
Right.
The reason that Black people were only like known for drinking sweet wine is because they hadn't had access to other things. And so they didn't know what they liked. They didn't know how to describe what they liked. And so that was the number one thing. We did a lot of, I did a lot of in-home tastings. And so when I would lead a tasting, people wouldn't know how to describe what it is that they like. So the first thing that they would say is, I like sweet. But then as we're going through the tasting, it's not that they like sweet. They just don't know how to describe like, oh, that's acid and I feel it here. And that's something that I really like. Or I really like when the wine has a little bit of residual sugar, right? And so it was really interesting to kind of start my journey that way of like helping people figure out how to speak about wine. And then they're able to like maneuver and figure out what it is that they really like and like move away from the shitty wine on the bottom shelf that they're used to drinking because they know that they like it. When it comes to like a bottle of wine, you're not going to spend $40 on something you don't know if you like.
Also, Black folks don't like to get embarrassed publicly. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and I'll just say for anybody, no one likes to be embarrassed publicly at the end of the day, you know, but put yourself in a position of a person of color being in a space where there may be the only one or the one of few. And then you have charcuterie boards, you have craft beer, you have all these things, and you haven't been given the opportunity to be exposed to it. Then you're in even more of an awkward position because you haven't had the exposure. Your palate doesn't know how to be discerning about how to be selective or you know, and then it just creates a situation where it's awkward, you're uncomfortable, and then it just creates an environment that is not welcoming, that isn't something to where you naturally want to explore it on your own. So, you know, for me, the first 2 to 3 years was about dismantling that experience. We used to do craft beer tastings in barbershops.
I love that.
There's a loophole in California that Governor Davis put in place that you could serve a glass of wine or up to, I believe it was 8 ounces of beer in a barbershop as a service. So we actually used that loophole to do a craft beer tasting. I would invite like one of the craft breweries I built a relationship with to bring 2 to 3 of their beers through. And I would have a craft beer tasting at a barbershop because one, it put people in their space to talk shit, to be able to talk about what their experience was with their people in a way that they could use their vernacular to talk about what they were speaking about and do it in a way that felt organic. You know, so it was about bringing a product in a space where people could feel authentically like themselves, so they could talk shit, so they could talk about what they were feeling in their palette, using their own vernacular without being embarrassed. Because at the end of the day, you just need to be able to describe it, however it is. If I could offer them a different way to explain the tingling sensation in their mouth, or my mouth feels like it's tingling, and tell them, oh, that's mouth feel. You know, then that's an opportunity for the next time that they're at their office party or they get invited to a tasting, they're informed just that much more to be able to invite their palate to something new. And we took that responsibility on to be a steward of educating the community, so that once we did have a product, that not only did we just have a community that was ready for it, but we had a community that was educated in how to taste the beer and not just how to buy the beer. You know, that was very important to us.
Okay, so now we're using this like as our main. This is also a tiny board. We're gonna have to put a lot of stuff on here. There's this. Then we're gonna move into using our manchego. So this is just, we're just gonna make it look pretty. So just kind of.
Isn't his name Manchego?
No, I don't think so.
Most black folks will get that joke. But
hey,
I digress, people. Just if you didn't get that joke, just Google or YouTube Tadao by Manchego. It's a bad joke.
I don't think it's manchego though.
It's not.
Next we're gonna add some ricotta on there. And then if you want to add, we're gonna add some of the olives. The brininess is really good. So if you wanna.
No, those are little cucumbers.
Well, so we have olives underneath, and then on top we have our cornichons.
One more time?
Cornichons.
They're not little pickles?
They are little pickles.
Cornish pickles?
Cornish.
Like Cornish hens?
Yeah, kind of.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna give you, I haven't even had a full beer and I'm giving you the business on the show already. Okay.
You're fun.
Cornish?
Cornichons.
Cornish hens. So
it's a little pickle.
I love little pickles.
It's so good with salami and cheddar, and probably great with beer too.
I feel very rich.
That's the goal.
When I'm eating.
And you're gonna have truffles too, so.
I actually want to make a pickle beer. They're delicious.
That sounds good.
I love pickle beer. Let me tell you, as someone who appreciates charcuterie and sour beers, the briny character in the beer is beautiful.
I mean, it sounds delicious to me.
It's delicious. I have not convinced my partner completely yet, but
we'll have to get Benny in here, and we'll make her eat some cornichons and go from there.
But moving on.
Okay, so now we're gonna. That messed up everything. I don't like that. So that's the great thing about this. You can just move things around if it's not working for you. So whatever. We did that. We'll add some pickles and cornichons and different areas later. Okay.
Is Cornish like code for little?
I don't know. Now we're gonna add our cheddar. So if you want to take your cheddar and we're gonna add it on the opposite end. This is like a lot, like heavy cheese.
Yes.
And then we're gonna add some Gouda too. Yeah, I think that's good. Next to it. Yeah, we're trying to fit them all on.
I like that.
And then
take care of that.
We're gonna make we should probably add just a little bit of fruit. We gotta make it healthy, right? So
one of the roses?
Yeah, we can put that right there. Perfect. Maybe another one back here. And then we'll put another one of these here. Just because you need that.
Yes.
Now we're gonna take these, and this also is gonna help. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your salami. We're just gonna fold it in quarters like this.
Is this a rose? Are we doing a rose?
No, we're not doing a rose. we're putting so much meat and cheese on here, Rose wouldn't fit on here. So we're gonna do 3 at a time, and then we're gonna find little pockets.
Okay, so for those new to Kay, like go to her IG and look at these doggone roses, these meat roses, which kind of sounds weird, but it is the most beautiful thing ever. Like I was like, I'm like, you kidding me? I would stick that whole rose in my mouth.
My daughter does that.
Man.
So now we're gonna look for like little gaps and we're gonna throw these in there. So see that?
Yep.
There you go. And we're gonna do a few more of those.
Yep.
To really fill out that board. And that's kind of the goal, is just to.
So, you know, it's one of the things that I often see in craft beer bars is charcuterie. Because one,
it's delicious.
What is delicious? And also, like, brewers are broke as fuck. Like, we're, like, you know, and not to say that charcuterie is cheap, but the reality is, you know, a lot of us can't afford kitchens, you know, and everything that comes along with that, you know.
Yeah,
so the most affordable thing that we can put in to enjoy, like, this incredible beverage that we have are cured meats and cheeses, and sometimes even tinned products as well. But it pairs so well with these products, something that where attention has been offered, and even more importantly, time. Like, you're talking time with the cheeses, time with the cured meats, time with the beer.
Totally.
And care, and more importantly, someone who wants to offer it for the opportunity for it to be explored over conversation and community.
Absolutely.
I mean,
this is like, there's nothing better than sharing this with people. So now we're just kind of taking the prosciutto. We're not doing anything fancy with it. We're kind of just scrunching it up and putting it in some of the other holes. There are fancier ways of doing this.
Is this real prosciutto?
It's real prosciutto from Italy.
Yeah, it is.
Just had to check.
I had to check.
And then you just kind of put it in different areas. Just like
you know, as you were putting this together, I'm like, there's no way you're gonna. I'm looking at all the meat. I'm like, where are you gonna put the meat?
You know, we figure out how to do it. That's why when people like get our board, sometimes they're always like, it doesn't look like there's a lot. I'm like, wait until you sit down and eat. There's a lot there. We get them in the places. There is no holes by the end of this. That's good, right? I'll try it with a pickle. Add a pickle to that.
Mm-hmm. Don't got threaten me.
So now that we have,
what else do you need me to try, Kay?
Now that we have this, we're gonna put some nuts in the holes. Yes, there's a lot of suggestive things with nuts and meats and all of that good stuff. So just kind of
reasons why I love you, Kay. Why the world loves you.
My husband literally always, like, when we're making boards, he's like, that's what she's like.
By the way, he's a cool cat. Also, I'm ex-military as well. So it's funny when you meet another ex-military cat, there's almost just that kind of look to where you're just like, you know, it's like, you know, there's like very little that needs to be said, because there's almost like a disposition that exists. And it's just like nothing has to be said. Who do? So I'm gonna say what up.
Skipping over the other stuff.
Yeah, are we gonna start crying? You wanna cry? We can cry on camera. I'm okay with it.
I haven't done it yet, but I know it's gonna come one day.
Man, just get the warm towels set up. Man.
I mean, we talked about some serious stuff already. I'm surprised that like there weren't any tears. But I've had like such good like guests that like we keep it light, like lighter, and we laugh about the things that we should be crying about. But I also think that's entrepreneurship. Like, there are so many things that, like, I want to cry, but then it's just like, for what? I've learned that no matter what, if there's, like, issues or, like, something that you're worried about, I can worry and then still have to deal with the shit, or I could just not worry and then deal with the shit. So like using all of that energy to worry just like isn't worth it anymore. But really reminding myself of that is really important.
Well, one, you know, we were talking offline about just taking care of yourselves or taking care of ourselves as entrepreneurs. And I think you made a pretty profound point about Black entrepreneurs not feeling like they have the time to take care of yourself. You know, I wanted you to repeat that because I wanted to offer something about that idea. But
yeah, I think ultimately it's like we're so used to this like grind hustle culture of like hustle, like you're not going to get where you need to be unless you hustle. I've also grown up in the space of like I needed to work 10 times harder than other people because people were harder on me, right? And not just me, but people who look like me. And so I think I don't know how to give 100% because I'm already giving 150. And that's my 100. Like that's where I stop. And I think that when you do that, it's like we keep on cutting because I'm coughing because I don't take care of myself. And 2026, like I don't want to do that shit anymore. But it doesn't, just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean it makes it easy to do the other thing, which is taking care of yourself.
Right.
So it's like, how do you do that while also being an entrepreneur, while also trying to, because of the industry that we're in, there's not a lot of us. I have to, you know, go above and beyond because people are going to automatically think, or I think that people are going to automatically think that I'm not good enough or I don't deserve to be in this space. And I think that's something that like deeply impacts the way that I work is I feel like I don't deserve to take up space. I don't deserve to be abundant. I don't deserve grace for when I'm sick. I don't deserve, like, these are things that I feel like consistently I feel over and over again. And then with everything going on in the world, there are people who are actually saying that right now, right? Which I know people felt that way, but I don't know, keep it to yourself. Because I think that it weighs so heavy. So even now it's like, my body is forcing me to stop, to slow down, but I'm still not listening to it. I'm still going. I'm still pushing myself. And it's like I work with other women, other people of color who constantly tell me this. And I'm so good about being like, you deserve to take up space. What you have to say is so important. You create this, right? But I'm so bad about doing it for myself. And I think all entrepreneurs are this way, right? And I think the narrative that I tell myself, if somebody said that to me, I would be like, fuck that person. But I can say it to myself all the time, which is pretty shitty.
I hear you. I've battled the idea that rest is not laziness. And it is... I fought it yesterday. I fought it yesterday feeling like sitting on a couch and watching a game was a way of failing my family and my business and the people that depended on me. And like you, I have to remind myself that if I am going to give it 150%, that 140% is fine. And that I can take 10% to give back to myself. That I can take that 10% and walk around the corner and not be on my phone and just let the sun hit my flesh, sit and meditate, which is a beautiful practice that I've recently tried to pick up. And every time I do it, it sounds like some surreal kumbaya type shit. But every time I meditate, I find my higher self. I see him clearly, and it sounds bizarre, but I see him and he sees me, and he smiles at me, and I'm like, why don't I do this every day? And for every person that hears this conversation, I invite you to do it, Kay. I see how hard you work. I see it. I hear it in your voice. I hear it when I listen to you post on Instagram. I hear it now. And like, you got to take care of yourself, sis. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think the 150 percent, and then you being like, you can give 140 and take 10%. That I think was like, what? Like, wait, you're right. I think like, it's just, I don't want to fail. And I feel like I have no plan B, right? Oh my God. So, yeah, I think this is something that comes up for a lot of entrepreneurs. And it's like, the reality is I can't do any of the stuff that I'm doing if I'm not here. But I think this is something that like, I know that I'm not the only one who feels this way. We just don't talk about it because I feel like it's that whole grace thing. Like, we're not allowed to. And I think I do have these conversations with like other like people sometimes, and their thing is like, well, you know, you got this. I think that's the worst thing that you can say to an entrepreneur is you got this. Like, literally when I see that, I like, it makes me cringe. I like want to like throw my phone because like, or like punch the person in their face because I think it's like a matter of like, obviously I got it because I've gotten this far, but sometimes it's like, I don't want to have it all the time. I want somebody else to get it, you know? Yeah, I think it's very, entrepreneurship is very lonely. And then the things that people think they're saying in order to help don't help. And I think mental health is something that we literally sacrifice every single day being in this industry. Yeah.
I am grateful to have well, not anymore because I just lost him. I got to find another one. But I've had a pretty good therapist for the past couple of years. I lost him because he got deported. Ironically, he was from the UK, and he couldn't get his green card renewed. So, you know, the orange homie, you know. But that being said, that has been a lifesaver for me. Not literally, but it has been, to your point about not having anybody to speak to or to talk to. There's a mind frame that you are constantly in as an entrepreneur, to where you are always living in the future. You are always projecting, you're forecasting, you're planning. Everything that you do it hasn't happened yet. Many of the things that have happened are coming to fruition, you are typically not enjoying because you're still living in the planning of tomorrow, because that's your responsibility. Your responsibility is to order the things, the cogs, all those things, because if you don't do it, no one else does. And one, that's a very hard thing. You know, with all due respect, you know, shout out to Lynette and Elliot and, you know, my kids and everybody that they have to live with that, you know? So to your point about it being a lonely experience, it's lonely to live in the future of things that only you experience. Having someone to speak to about that has been a game changer for me. I know people throw around the idea of having a therapist and having therapy as an outlet, but I will stress it in this conversation again, because I'm excited to pick back up with some. I'm not excited to pick up with someone new because we're gonna have to have all the hard conversations again,
all over again.
but in this last iteration of it, I understand how invaluable it is even to have conversations like we're having now, and to understand the relationship of how I suppress things that are domino effect type things that make an impact on either me as a professional, me personally, and how they manifest themselves into physical issues, into communication issues, a myriad of different things that ultimately don't serve me, and ultimately impact my mental health. So it's something that I realize is a common thread in everything that I read about, philosophy, professional development, mental health, parenting, you name it. It's a common thread that I now absolutely do not ignore. It's a necessity at this point, especially for someone that not only is an entrepreneur, but someone that is a parent, someone that is a husband or a wife. It is imperative. It's like ignoring, not having QuickBooks. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, no, I'm just gonna stick to my calculator. It's like, bro, bro, there's QuickBooks. Like, what do you mean you're gonna stick to using a calculator? No. I have Excel. It's like, bro, there's QuickBooks. Like, just get it. It's like, after a while, you have to acknowledge that there are tools in your life that can make your life easier. And if therapy is one of those tools, like, it behooves us and the people that love us to adopt them, and that's, words of wisdom from your boy, Teo.
No, I appreciate it. I think the other thing that you've taught me is I don't have to do all this shit by myself. So I think just even with this new space and being like, I don't know how to do tap systems. I think in the past, my goal would be like, okay, well, I guess this is my turn to learn. So then I would buckle down and I'd be like, because nobody's going to help me. Nobody's going to save me. Nobody's going to walk me through this. And I think this is like the first time where I've been like, no, I need somebody, and like asked for it to be like, I need somebody who can help me with this. And this whole space has been, I would say probably the greatest like lesson to me, because there's so many people that I've reached out to and been like, I don't know how to do this and I don't have the bandwidth to learn. So what can we do? How can we make this work? How can we collab? How can we figure out, I want to make sure that everybody gets taken care of, right? But how do we do that to make sure that this like works?
We actually talked about this a little bit on a panel, and just to acknowledge you and to show gratitude, there is a beauty that happens when you share space with other entrepreneurs as well. There is not only camaraderie, but there is the what do you need? There is the being of service to other entrepreneurs, because without you even realizing it, you reaching out and being, hey, like, I need some help with this tap system. You didn't realize that I was going through one of the toughest iterations of my company. And in my mind, I was like, all I want to do is what I truly love, which is just help guide a beverage program, and just, help someone develop, a craft beer program. And literally your email was, you had to like email me, I think for the third time, like, all right, this is it. And finally I just like responded, and I just showed up like, what do you need, sis? And when you invited me to really explore what you were asking, you were literally asking me to do the one thing that I was asking the universe for, which was to build out a beverage program of craft beer. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, so thank you. Okay, thank you. Sincerely, it is an awesome thing to be invited to operate within the thing that you love.
So now that we're good here, we're gonna do like our final touches. So
mustard.
My neighbors were like, "What?"
Yeah. Someone had to do it on this podcast, right?
We did it yesterday too. Well, not of course we weren't filming yesterday, but we did it yesterday.
Okay.
So you're gonna add the mustard, final touch.
You know what's funny? Lynette hates pickles and mustard.
Oh well, you're gonna have to eat that section then.
Got it. Challenge accepted.
This is my section of the board, babe. You can move over here, right?
Got it.
And then
challenge accepted.
We're gonna add some honeycomb. This makes it fancy.
Man.
We're gonna take that.
Yes. Woo! I did not know how you were gonna fit all this shit on.
We figure it out, right? And then the very best part is like this. Now we just look for the remaining holes and we add in rosemary. And then that really starts to bring the board together, right? Yeah. And do you want to find places to add rosemary?
Holes for some more
Make
nuts.
sure we add all of the nuts. And then the very final touch we always do is flowers.
Yes. Are they edible?
They're edible. Everything on this board is edible. So the goal is to make sure that we do a little bit, make sure everything is edible, right?
Put on a little fun fact.
Oh, pickles.
Sorry, my bad. Spilled the pickles. Did you know that you can use for the very impossible to open pistachios, a pistachio shell as a way to open?
That seems too hard.
No, but have you ever gotten a pistachio that was impossible to open?
Just stick it in your mouth.
No, they're like, it's a sliver that's open. You just stick a pistachio.
But all the seasoning, so these are salt and pepper pistachios, all the seasoning's on the outside.
Sorry, for those that didn't have a visual, you take the pistachio shell and you stick it in a little sliver that you can't open, that you just give up on, and you just twist it like a key, and it opens.
And there you go. Look at
this. This is beautiful.
You're gonna bring it home, and she's gonna be like, "What? You did that?" And you're gonna be like, "Not really. I talked most of it, and Kaiy built it."
I am gonna take full responsibility for building this myself.
I want you to.
She will just have to wait to see the episode to know that I just stuck nuts in holes and sprigs of rosemary.
Well, you taste tested everything to make sure that it was perfect.
It was my responsibility.
Yeah, no.
You're welcome.
That's literally the perfect thing. So.
Yeah.
And now you get to take that home.
This is awesome.
Well, thank you for coming and making cheese boards. Now you somewhat know how to do it. You can at least do this part.
I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm confident in myself.
I'm confident
in my charcuterie building abilities.
The amount of times that people like leave and they like send me pictures of like, look what I made for Thanksgiving. So I can't wait until I see that. Like
it's coming.